Hello, happy Sunday, wherever you are in the world. Good day to you. I am popping in here for our collective week ahead card pulls, and it's been a very busy day over here, busy weekend. And it continues to be busy, which I think matches the astrological energies that we're going to be talking about and preparing for this week, because it is jam-packed. And actually, there's like lawn mowing going outside my door. The dog is barking because we were traveling this week. We were all away, and as we're settling back in, he's reestablishing his perimeter here. So you may hear some household noises going on. And so let's get to it, because we have 3 decks out here. It's a full moon week, so we have a lot going on, which we will, of course, hone in for a Queen of the Moon Oracle card to get that overarching energy of the full moon in Aries happening on Thursday. It's not an eclipse, but it's a very potent lunation. So we'll touch on that a little bit here. I'm going to share with you guys, actually, the astrological weather report that I recorded at the beginning of the month for the October Empowerment Pack participants. So it's already was recorded ahead of October 1st. I just took a little 7-minute snippet, yes, 7 minutes, to talk about all of the astrological weather this week. It's a very busy one, and it kind of culminates with this very potent full moon in Aries happening on Thursday. So we're going to pull a card when we get to Thursday for that. Of course, if you're already with me for the October Empowerment Pack, we will be diving in deep into this lunation. If you would like to join me, anyone else, the full moon empowerment reading is open for booking. If you would like to join for that, it will be a 2-part reading. You'll get the full length reading where we touch on deeply into all of the astrological aspects. Full moon ritual, I'll be choosing a spread for us to do with a featured deck and oracle card messages as well. Then we break out for your personal card pulls for the full moon. So if you would like to join, I will be providing the link to that as well. Now, I've been trying to get to all of my awesome seasonal decks. And so this week, we are weaving in another super fun one, the one that I teased here on Marco Polo just ahead of this recording. It is Deep, Dark, and Dangerous by Stacey DeMarco. It's another, I feel like it's like Stacey DeMarco, like that's the Queen of the Moon. Now we're bringing in Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. But we also have, of course, the signature deck we've been working with all month, the Trick or Treat Tarot from Barbara Moore. Really enjoying this. I think, I'm just going to see how I'm inspired. If you would like a free personal card pull this week, after we go through all these messages, if you would like a personal card pull, you're going to get a bonus card this week. So it'll be 2 cards. I'm just leaving it up to how I'm feeling, whether I want to pull your tarot card from this deck or another really adorable small, it's called the Halloween Oracle. And I took it with me this weekend, so I don't have it right in front of me right now. So I'm going to leave it up to how I'm feeling when I do those card pulls. But you can let me know if you would like a personal card pull for this week to dive a little bit more into the energies that we're going to talk about here today collectively. I will also pull you your own Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle card. So let me know, quick reply here if you'd like, or reach out in whatever way works for you if you would like a card pull this week. Okay, let's get to it. We're going to pull first the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. Let me see, where is I'm going to spray Kali Ma because she is winking at me over here. Warrior Goddess Energy, Liberation and Rebirth. Yes, I feel that. Let's bring that in. I'm definitely feeling that energy. This, of course, from the amazing Angelic Celestial Colors. This is an aura energy spray that is fantastic. Really powerful and feels very appropriate the week of a full moon in Aries for sure. Okay. Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. Let's see what wants to come in here with a little bit of a bonus message for us at the top of the week as we get ready to dive into our 5-card tarot spread and then our Queen of the Moon Oracle as well. 1 card here, please. See what's coming up. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, you know what's funny? You know how it is? It's like, you may have a deck that you use, once a year, a certain season, or for certain occasions. And I feel like of all the cards in this deck, I always see this card. So this card is Fetch, with this keyword of mirror, and it is number 37, and it comes from dangerous, because what we find is in this deck, you'll receive a card either from the deep, dark, or dangerous theme, and this one from dangerous, Fetch. So we will get into that when we go through our messages here in a moment. And let us see now what we will get from our Trick or Treat Tarot for this next week of October. Like I said, very much of a midway point here as we round middle of the month. I don't know why. So far this month feels really long. I feel like we've been talking about this for weeks, which we have, but it just feels later into the month than it is, which is interesting for how time's been passing so quickly, and yet we're moving into the middle of the month this week. So here we go with our collective card pulls, which of course, as I always say, with a collective reading, you are always invited to take what resonates, leave the rest. There's always someone there to pick it up. But that being said, I love to hear from you throughout the week to see how these cards end up showing up for you. I mean, it's crazy just the myriad of ways that these energies come into play for all of us and the collective, for sure. The first card that we pull for Monday represents sort of just kicking off the week and setting the tone. So let's see what we get there to set the tone this week. Trick or treat. What is coming up? Knight of Wands. Yeah, so a little fire right out the gate from this gladiator. I love it. All right, so we've got the gladiator coming in with all the fire. Yeah, it's feeling very fiery because of the Aries energy. Also, we had some activity yesterday. I'm trying to get my days straight because I've been away. But yesterday was the 12th, right? Yes. Sun square Mars. So, with that peaking yesterday, it is something that we've been feeling building throughout the month. So the sun in Libra squared Mars in Cancer, October 12th, which is bringing a buildup of tension. So if we've been feeling stretched thin or burnt out, it's possible yesterday there could have been a little fire, a little something bubbling a bit to reach a limit of some kind. And so that's like heated emotions could rise, could cause some lashing out, getting a little snappy with those around us, but opportunities to channel that energy into being proactive, taking action, and maybe even a little exercise. So if that already, kind of peaked for you yesterday, and that sounds relatable, or how you may be feeling, tensions should be easing now as we move into the week ahead. But I was just feeling this fiery energy that's been building up one way or the other, and of course is culminating into that big full moon that we have coming up on Thursday. Okay, so that just popped out. Let's see. Oh, that was the moon. Speak of the full moon. There it is. Okay, that just winked at us. Okay, Tuesday is a potential block or challenge this week. So what may be coming forward as a potential block or challenge other than all the busy? Six of Swords. Okay, which is moving on, moving forward, moving on to smoother waters. So yeah, so as we say, tensions should be dissipating, eclipse season is wrapping up, it officially ends. We've had our last eclipse of the year already with that new moon solar eclipse in Libra that we were just talking about the other week. But now with this non-eclipse full moon in Aries happening Thursday, eclipse season officially ends for this year. But that doesn't end there. That's the thing, is that eclipses create these openings for energy that then ripples out into the many months after. 6 months coming in, 6 months going out. There's 18-month cycles. So there's definitely a sense of like a ripple effect, that the notion of Six of Swords is that we've come through some choppy water. We've had some difficult times, some challenges, some blocks as we're feeling into here. And yet, new dawn on the horizon, but that can be challenging to get there because we're still dealing with the reverberations, or maybe things are just becoming clear or have not yet quite come clear. Because from the beginning of the month, as I will mention in the pre-recorded bit that I'm going to share here on the other side of this card pull, I really was feeling that first week of October that we were getting all kinds of winks around this Aries full moon. So I do think with this big, bold illumination of a full moon coming in this week, that there could yet be some things coming into clarity that haven't quite yet. And that can be challenging if we don't have that clarity. Also, we might be getting a little seasick. I'm feeling like these choppy waters, enough already. Like, it's just like, we're just feeling like we need some dry land. Get grounded, dry out all these emotions, all these feels. Okay, Wednesday, though, brings in our midweek blessing. So what's coming in for a midweek blessing here? Midweek. The Page of Cups. Okay, so we have some characters here this week. We have the Knight of Wands, Page of Cups coming in here. So that does bring a little like dreamy imagination, romanticism. Like there's just some fun flow going on here with the Page of Cups. I can't wait to see the details about these trick-or-treaters as well and how that inspires us for the intuitive messages this week. All these jumpers. That was the Page of Swords. I don't know, a lot of youthful energy here too. Pages and knights. Okay, well, let's see. Thursday is full moon day. So let's see about that, how we are growing. And then I'll pull our Queen of the Moon Oracle card as well while we're in Thursday's energy. How are we growing? Aries full moon. Illumination coming in. Ooh, okay. I feel like I have to take 2. I'm being given 2. Okay, kiddo. There's a message here. Page of Swords returns with, brought some money, honey. Ace of Pentacles. I love it. Okay, clarity and new beginnings. Yes, this is what I'm saying. So the sword coming from a page is a messenger energy, and it's truth telling, it's direct, it's cutting through. And I think on the other side is really some seed of potential from the Pentacles. Yeah, so we got a double here. Okay, that doesn't happen often, but I felt like I had to keep them both. So we'll do that. And let's, while we're in that energy, pull our Queen of the Moon Oracle card for the overarching energy of this full moon. Now, this will be the card that I will be building off of for the full moon empowerment reading. So once again, you're either already with me for the empowerment pack, and I can't wait because we had so much happening at the beginning of the month, and we had like this intense wave of interactions with all your readings and messages and things. And now as we kind of settle into all of that, we'll be meeting again now to get into this full moon. And for anyone who would like to join, once again, the full moon empowerment reading is available. This will be the overarching energy card we'll start with, and then get into our spread and oracle message, and then your subsequent personal card pulls for the full moon. Now, full moon's about things coming into wholeness, fruition, fullness, endings of a chapter, endings of a cycle, and then a new beginning on the other side. So as we prepare for something to come into fullness, we talk about what's ending, what we're letting go of, what we're releasing, what we're forgiving, what we're shedding, so that we can step into the new with that pumpkin of pentacles. So that's the type of energy that we approach this lunation with, as to what are we shedding, releasing, letting go. We're going to talk about a ritual you can do in the full moon empowerment reading for the full moon in Aries. Or really any practice that speaks to you around, what you're releasing and letting go. This time of year, around these parts, is a beautiful time for a little bonfire, writing down some things that we want to let go, to release, to shed, to forgive, and then burning it and allowing the smoke and the fire to transmute that into ash and carry it up into the universe, and release it, because we're transmuting it into what we wish to bring in its place. Okay. So Queen of the Moon, overarching energy. What do we have coming up here? Ah, yeah, super moon, big time. So attraction, 44, angel number, big, big. This is what I'm saying. Like, it's expansive. It's big. It's like you can't miss it because there's a lot of clarity potentially coming in. It's like, I feel like it's about to pop, you know? And again, that can be some of this underlying tension or the fire aspect of things that have been building up. This pressure cooker kind of energy I'm feeling like it's about to pop, you know, but I have to really feel into this full moon to see in terms of like collective energy, world stage energy versus, you know, individually and how that might be showing up for us. But let's just say, you know, again, it's big and there's definitely, a focus on, you know, what you expect is what you attract in. Expectation, I'll just stick this in the middle for now so you can see that. Expectation equals magnetization. What we expect, we attract in like a magnet. So it's very important that we be aware of where we are energetically and what frequency we wish to hold when this big thing comes in. You know, you can see here that I've brought in some of the moonology energy for this full moon, and we have a fiery climax approaches coming in. You know, again, with Aries, it is about all of that fiery energy. And with a full moon, we're talking about things culminating. There's also a message of cooling one's emotions. So again, the tension builds up, the pressure builds up, and there's a sense of, you know, how we can sort of like a release valve for that versus explosive energy. So we'll tune into that as well. Okay, let's see. We got Friday to go, and then we will dive into the energetic weather and these messages. So Friday wraps it all up. That's going to bring us to the 17th, the 18th rather. So this will be the 18th energy, which of course these cards are all working together throughout the week. These are just placeholders, but just to kind of give us some framework. Friday. 8 of Cups. All right, look at this guy. Well, there's pumpkins everywhere now. So yeah, this is perfect because again, this is another, like the 6 of Swords, which was a challenge, a potential block this week. 8 of Cups is also about what we're leaving behind. What we're leaving behind these little mini pumpkins for that great pumpkin there in the distance. There's something bigger. There's definitely something coming in here that we are moving towards and leaving behind things that have served, things that had a role to play, but we are expanding beyond. So, and I feel like this guy has a story. So we're going to tune in to see what's going on with Captain Underpants there for our week with this Trick or Treat Tarot and these other amazing decks. So once again, if you would like personal card pulls this week, I'm going to be pulling 2 cards for you. One from a tarot deck of my choice, not sure yet which one I'm going to be feeling, and then also the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. So please join if you would like. That's a complimentary card pull, and if you would like to work together more comprehensively this week and on this very powerful lunation, please check out the full moon empowerment reading. Okay, guys, let's get ready. I'm going to start by sharing this replay that I recorded at the beginning of the month for the energetic weather this week, and then we'll roll from there. Thank you so much, as always, for being here. Much love. October 17th. Nope. Oh boy, this is the busy one. Okay. No. Woohoo. October 13th through 15th. These are some busy astrological days. So right before that full moon reaches its peak, the full moon in Aries on the 17th, we have a slew of planetary activity. So that's going to make these few days feel like intense ones. Okay. So note the middle of the month. So as we're feeling the intensity of all of that, we're possibly you're feeling busy or a little scattered. So whenever we have busy planetary energy like this,
the universe is always preparing us for something and helping to push things forward so that we can get right where we need to be. And again, I'll just pause to say that because that's something I like to point out to all of us, especially when we're going through an intense time. Intense in any way. Intense because it's really busy. Intense because it's really challenging. It might be emotional, difficult. It could be amazing. You could be stepping into something new, like, a new home or a new job, or welcoming something new into your life. It's very exciting, but it's a lot, right? It's intense. So whenever we're there and the universe is reflecting that energy back to us, it's like we're right where we are meant to be, and to whatever extent we can find solace in that, because even if it is exhausting and dizzying and all the things, that is the energy that the universe is preparing us for and reflecting back to us so that we can have the tools we need to weather those challenges. And there's always an up level coming on the other side of that. So, perhaps we're being called here in the energies that we will be experiencing to organize and get situated for this upcoming Aries full moon. Now, I mentioned in the week ahead card polls, I was feeling this week was sort of pointing to more clarity and illumination coming with this full moon coming up on the 17th. So, we'll see what comes forward here, but I am feeling that. So that is kind of setting the stage for a slew of activities. So the Sun trine Jupiter, creating things to flow, which helps to place us right where we need to be. Mercury squaring Pluto prepares us in the way of deep communication and thought processes being possible now. Venus opposite Uranus, that can bring in feelings that are scattered when it comes to relationships. But then Venus trine Neptune also can bring in those feelings of uncertainty when it comes to our relationships. So these are all invoking and provoking and drawing out, these aspects that, are all preparing us for some of the energies that we'll be navigating through with this October 17th Aries full moon. So this Aries full moon, it's a super moon, which means it's going to be very close to the Earth. And if we just had that super moon last month, it was huge and it was so bright and visible because of its close proximity to the Earth, which also means that we feel its effects very strongly. Now, this is going to be a very action-based full moon. So we're likely to feel inspired to take charge, to push forward in a direction that feels good to us. And we may find ourselves needing to put our warrior mask on and step up in some way. Interesting as we talk about all the costumes and the disguises this month, the warrior mask. So while emotions may be running high, we're being encouraged to act and become the leader in this situation. This full moon is also closely linked to the Aries new moon eclipse that we had back in April. So once again, we're getting pulled back into the earlier eclipse season this year and seeing how it has been unfolding. So we may see some similar themes or patterns between these two events. And I'll just note here again, if you've been with me for the Empowerment Pack, you can go back in your polos and see what came up for you back in April when we tapped into the eclipse energies, what was coming forward. And incidentally, if you're just with me now and you weren't with me in April, but if you would like to view the Empowerment Pack Part 1 reading that I did where we tapped into the different, elements, just like we're doing with this, I'd be happy to share that with you as well. And if anybody needs help locating their readings or any of that guidance, let me know. But I just always think it's so neat, again, when we have these checkpoints along the way, that we can go back and check in with what was coming forward. So those intentions that we set under that eclipse could really finally be coming into a reality here. So that's something to note. The other thing that was just pinging for me there about becoming a leader, the tarot card for Aries is the Emperor, and that came up this week here and now. It's on the altar on the Sharecast. You may have seen already that we got the Emperor, and it was for how we are growing. And, I think that the costume was like this headless pumpkin head, and it was this really interesting parallel it's drawing between the head and the heart. So interesting that I said, and again, you can look at those messages on the Sharecast for this week, for Thursday, the Emperor card, and what was coming through all of the messages this week in terms of connection between head, heart, stepping into leadership, and more. So again, as I mentioned in that reading, I was feeling this pull to the Aries super full moon. So there we have it. We shall see. Also on October 17th, Venus in Sagittarius. So Venus moves out of deep and introspective Scorpio into lighter territory in Sagittarius. I'm sighing of relief because I have been feeling these effects of Venus in Scorpio. So I am tapping into this energy here that is a fresh energy that could really allow us to feel more playful, adventurous, and creative. So that makes it a great time to spend with friends and to remember the importance of friendship. Making it a point to perhaps reach out to an old friend. Let them know how much they mean to you. Like just taking a moment to relish in that energy in celebration with Venus in Sagittarius.
All right, here we go. Kicking our messages off, we have an oracle card from the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous deck. And like I mentioned in the card pull, I have seen this one pretty much every time I've touched this deck. This card comes up, and it's so funny because I'm just refreshing my memory on, what the core message is of this card. And it could not be more aligned with the intuitive words for this month of brilliant disguise. And I'm feeling like I'll probably be ending up sharing another excerpt from the October month ahead reading now so that I can share with you, what was coming up for me when I was tuning into those words, which of course, yes, are inspired by the popular song by Bruce Springsteen, Brilliant Disguise, and touches on, as I've mentioned throughout this month, the brilliant disguises that we may be consciously or unconsciously wearing, and those of others, and the ways in which they are, again, all the different ways they can show up. And we're going to talk about a couple of different ways here with this card, all serving in some way for whatever it is that we are provoking and reflecting, projecting amongst each other. So with that in mind, this card is perfect. The key word being mirror. And it talks about how there are different parts of yourself that can do different tasks, and to look for the real self within the shadow. What you see in the mirror may not always be true. Society can sometimes dictate what your appearance should be to fit societal norms. Discard this ideal if it doesn't fit or benefit you. So a couple of different ways to look at this, and this is going to get into the mythos of this card as the fetch. But, the notion that we are multidimensional beings and we have all these different aspects to ourselves, and it all depends what lens we're looking through, how that may be reflecting back to us or others, and the way in which we see ourselves versus the way others see us, and more. So we're talking about the duality of reflection versus reality. So the story here from Stacey DeMarco is about when she was a child, her grandmother, who still carried with her the stories of Ireland, told her about a fetch that had appeared to someone that the family knew. A fetch in the Irish tradition is the unlikely appearance of someone's exact double. So in the US, we say doppelganger, someone who looks just like you that's out there, right? We often now refer to, here it comes, read ahead, which of course is, okay. We often now refer to someone who looks like someone else as a doppelganger, which of course is the German term for a double. There we go. Apparently, a girl was out walking early one morning in her town and was astounded to meet another girl who looked exactly like her. This other girl had an excuse for being there and said she was from another city and just as amazed to see her double as the girl from the town. The first girl invited the second girl to have dinner with her family that night. She wanted to show this mystery girl to her family, knowing that they would be amazed. She shared her address and gave her a time, and they agreed to meet. When the girl returned home to get ready for work, she told her mother about what she had seen. Her mother, knowing the lore of the fetch, was of course very afraid. She begged the young woman not to go to work because she feared for her and explained that this person she had met, who was a mirror image of her, may well be the warning of her own death. Remember, this is the dangerous category that we've pulled this card from. The young woman laughed about this and told her mother to expect this other young woman at dinner time. Neither would make it to dinner. The young woman inexplicably collapsed on her way home and passed away. Her mirror image did not show at the home. According to my gran and most of the Irish stories, fetches are not in themselves harmful, but a premonition of what is to come. They are spectral versions of the self, a kind of alter ego, if you like, or an extension of the soul. Irish mythos states that seeing a fetch in the morning means death, but seeing one at the end of the day means a long life ahead. In Irish mythos and also in the Norse, an alter ego who looks like the person but is not, or an animal that one shapeshifts into, is a way to connect with the gods and listen to what they have to say. The idea of a double or another part of the self that has different jobs or tasks is not unusual in these traditions. We are not what the mirror sees. We are so much more than that. Yeah. So that's powerful because yes, there's some lore there and there's that little spin of the darkness and the notion of, premonition of something dark and sinister and shadowy versus, something of a good fortune. Again, what we give energy to is what we attract in. So if we feed that story, if we bolster it by either, perpetuating it and sharing it or fearing it, we're giving it energy. So what I'm talking about is expectation equals magnetization. We have that super moon attraction energy coming in for this full moon in Aries this week. This is talking about, these different aspects of self and how they all serve, how they all play a role or have played a role. And I feel like, again, as we look towards what are we releasing, what are we shedding, forgiving, leaving behind, transmuting? And this whole mirror thing is really giving me for example, I'm thinking of a broken mirror shattered in a bunch of pieces. What are you thinking? 7 years bad luck. Perhaps you've heard that one. The superstition that breaking a mirror is 7 years bad luck. Well, if we believe it, we will achieve it, right? So there is this sense of, even just that picture being put in my mind of that mirror broken into 1,000 pieces and saying, hey, when you look in that mirror, what do you see? Well, it depends on which shard of glass is reflecting back to you in any given moment, what you're seeing. Does it make it true? It's a reflection versus a reality. And I think that we're coming to face a lot of those reflections and realities of the collective that has been shattered, by the all that's been coming forward, like I said, and it doesn't just start with eclipse season, of course, but where we find ourselves right here and now, there is a lot that has been brought up, brought out, drawn forward that we are now sort of going through and sorting out the pieces. So I feel like this is actually a perfect card to really kick things off for this full moon week, what we're looking at in terms of what we are going to attract in versus what we are repelling and sending out. So we'll take a look at that as we get into these 6 tarot cards we have for this week, because we have a double that came in for Thursday and the Queen of the Moon oracle. So strap in, get a cuppa, get comfortable if you want to listen live, or if you're picking this up all at once, or of course, if you prefer to just kind of dip in each day, it'll all be broken out here for you to take in as you like. And again, if you would like a personal card pull for this week, please let me know in whatever way works for you. And I do record those on a private polo to you, which I'll be sharing throughout this week. Okay, let's get into it now with our Monday card. All right, we are kicking off our tarot messages for the week collectively with our Monday card, which just kicks it all off, gets kind of setting the tone for us. We have one of our first characters, of which we have a few, the Knight of Wands. And so we're going to dip into this gladiator's costume and kind of what's happening here in the story and see how that might be showing up for us this week. So Knight of Wands, the story here with this one is, he's in such a hurry, but he isn't moving. Frustrating. So yeah, it's a clever costume, but it has its limitations. Hopefully a damsel in distress will require assistance, providing a great excuse to abandon the props, and then the real fun begins. What good is being a gladiator if you never see any action? Okay, so potential for some frustration to bubble over here, which is so interesting because I talked about some of the astrological weather referring back to yesterday as I was talking about the Sun square Mars and the potential tensions that could be easing after that day based on that transit. But yeah, full moon in Aries, fiery climax approaches, this energy of the busy week that I touched on with all these different aspects, and some of them, there is the potential in our feeling scattered or in some way having a degree of frustration about things, that this is absolutely coming into play here. Because when this card comes up, it can represent someone who is focused, as all the knights are, and they have a goal in mind, and they will use their abilities to achieve it, and woe to anyone who gets in their way. But if something takes too long, watch out for frustration to boil over. They can charm or bully most people into supporting their plans. If you're not interested in helping with their plans, lay low. If, on the other hand, you want to get their talents devoted to your cause, appeal to their ego, sense of humor, and courage. They will almost always want to show off and play the hero. Now, remember with court cards, such as the knights, the pages that we'll be looking at here, we're talking about personality, aspects of someone, you, someone else in your orbit, or perhaps an energy that's at play in the dynamics this week. The wands are fire. So there is this energy of a bit of a fiery, but also very fast moving fire, and as well as the swords. Hello, we've got both this week. Both the swords and the fire and wand energy is very fast. So there can be sort of this focused, fast, determined energy that comes forward from a Knight of Wands. Yes, they can be charming, typically have a strong ego, brave, honorable, but there is the potential when that's out of balance to show up as being rash, crashing and burning, going too quickly, bullying or ignoring others, or in some way being very willful or impatient. So, this giving me Chariot vibes as well. Let me show you the big picture so you can see a nice up close here. Chariot vibes, of course, with the gladiator. And what I always say about the Chariot is about the idea that before we go on any big journey, before we go rolling out there to help any damsels in distress, we want to make sure that this chariot is ready to rock, that the tires are all good to go and balanced, and that, everything is in tip-top shape. So if we kind of have this fiery knee-jerk reaction, this is where we can crash and burn or just, get derailed right off the roadway. So there's an energy that comes in here to stay focused and determined, but not too hastily, not too fiery. And with some of that tension and some of this energy of the climax of this full moon in Aries and things being illuminated and such, just being aware of this energy being out there in our dynamics with others, in the way that it's showing up in different relationships and such, which, some of those aspects I touched on this week in these first several days. For example, Venus opposite Uranus, where we might be feeling a little scattered when it comes to our relationships. Venus trine Neptune, feeling uncertain when it comes to our relationships. So you see all of these things potentially working together to contribute aspects that this is all about being mindful and just having an awareness that this energetic weather is about, so that we can decide, what we want to focus on and where we are in terms of what we are determined and how we choose to be as we navigate those energies. So that's definitely setting the stage for us. We have a few other characters this week that are definitely playing roles. So, just being mindful of, like, if any of that's pinging is reminding you of yourself or someone or as the week unfolds, aspects of these players could come in any various ways, so, just little bits and bobs that you might choose to, kind of channel and call in versus those that, you're not looking to get involved with. So let's move now into our Tuesday card for a potential block or challenge. Okay, Tuesday represents a potential block or challenge this week, and we have the Six of Swords coming in. So from Wands, now we move into the Swords, which is air energy, and there's this sense of, how might this show up as a block or challenge this week? Well, looking at these characters, it looks like they're on a boat. Let me show you again close up because this is such a beautiful book. True to the traditional, we see two figures here on the boat, fairy-like, and on the back it actually says haunted tunnel. And we see here sort of the gatekeeper, right, who has that energy of that third presence that on the traditional Six of Swords is riding on the back of the boat. Now they're about to go into this uncharted territory, and there's this interesting combination of excitement, but also some fear and trepidation. So thinking about this story in terms of the ways in which this energy could potentially be a block or challenge this week. So this spooky being with the big scythe puts you in a boat and invites you to float into the mouth of a monster. What could go wrong? Being scared is all part of the fun on Halloween. There is something so exciting about knowing you're going to be frightened and yet knowing that you're safe. Or at least you hope you will be safe. Did you have to sign a waiver to get in that boat? I love the sense of humor in this deck. So when this card comes up, you are on your way to safety. Whatever troubles you've been trying to overcome, whatever problems you've been trying to solve, you will soon sail away from them to a safe harbor. What you need to know is that you won't do it alone. You need help. No one likes to rely on others. We all want to be independent. Maybe that's the scariest part of this situation, admitting you need help and graciously accepting it. Try focusing on how good it will make the other person feel to be a hero. Go ahead, take the boat, the hand, whatever is offered. It's not going to kill you. So the key words that are coming up here are escape, assistance, admitting defeat, impossible situation, protection, and shelter. So in the way of a potential block or challenge, like I was saying during the card pull, this is really a card that is about, yes, we're in some choppy water right now, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is this sense of moving on to calmer seas, and the water represents the emotions and the feelings. So if things are very churned up and choppy right now, and there's almost like this, they seem to get worse before they get better. It's like, remember about looks being deceiving, that when we're talking about some of the really significant collective changes that we are moving through, and we're talking about, we've been speaking to, Pluto just stationing direct now in Capricorn yet. However, next month will be finally moving. It's moving out of Capricorn for the final time, for us, and moving into Pluto in Aquarius, this really beautiful energy that lies ahead, but we still have some choppiness to get there. And that's causing this bit of reconciliation, this, kind of coming face to face with all of those aspects and having to look at the fact that like we may need to call in some reinforcements, some help, some support. And where does that come from? And we look around in our midst, the people, the situations, the circumstances that we are in, and what resources we have to weather the choppiness, the blocks, the challenges that are all surfacing right now, because it's this, coming up to this like crescendo before we roll into this new energy. And that's not to say that it's smooth sailing from here on out, but I'm saying that sometimes it gets really loud and really choppy and really tumultuous before it becomes clear exactly the path that we're taking to move forward. And so again, collectively, and how does that show up in your world, on your little boat, in your little neck of the woods? How is that coming up for you? How is it presenting for you a potential block or challenge that we've got all of these interesting players showing up this week to support us on the best path forward? So that's kind of what I'm feeling around this Six of Swords kind of coming in here, that has these, sort of situations that there's this duality in how we might be feeling about it, but we're really invited to again remember that what we focus on is where your focus goes, energy flows. So really being very cognizant about what we are attracting in and what we are sending on down the river. Okay, let's take a look now at Wednesday's card. All right, Wednesday is our midweek blessing, and our next character coming in here, we are seeing the Page of Cups coming in. So far we've had Wands, Swords, and now Cups. So 3 of the 4 elements, and we will have the 4th here later in the week, represented in our spread this week. So very well-rounded in terms of the energies that we're moving through. And like I said, this is another personality, Page of Cups. The pages are the youngest members of the tarot. So they tend to represent children, youth, but also novice energy, like kind of being new at something or immature or, unseasoned, in a way. So let's take a look at her real quick, because I know there's a couple details that maybe don't pop out when you look at it from the photo, or the card there. So I'm going to show you the page in the book. So yeah, you actually might notice the goldfish jumping out of her cup there, a little nod to the traditional. And so there's a very aquatic underwater energy here. And I love the tones of the purples and the blues that we're seeing this week. You may notice we have a lot of that purple showing up here. The Page of Cups comes in as a midweek blessing. How adorable is she? She'll probably be obsessed with her new goldfish friend all night. Her natural grace and some enchanted luck keep her from tripping over her costume. Fun fact, the Page of Cups is usually shown with a fish popping out of a chalice. Some say that the fish represents a message that will be received. So yes, pages are messenger energy in general, and specifically in the Page of Cups, this is even more so that you may be receiving some type of a message in the vein of the energy of the cups. So let's talk about that a little more here. So when the card comes up, it represents someone who is young, emotionally immature, or inexperienced in relationships. Lack of experience doesn't stop them though. They will dive into the deep end of whatever pool strikes their fancy. The pools that are most likely to capture their attention are ones promising romance, connection, or inclusion in a group. They have a soft, generous, loving heart. On the downside, they can be overly sensitive, needy, or clingy. Be nice to them and you'll have a fast friend. Teach them about good boundaries and you'll have a friend that doesn't invade your life. So yeah, young, inexperienced, but yes, it does show friendship, sensitivity, romanticism, sweet, emotional, intuitive. So tapping into that water element and the energy of emotions and the heart chakra and the feels. But I'm also getting a little fish out of water here, the energy of feeling out of our depths in things. And, but we're talking about a midweek blessing here. So, I think there's a sense of again, imaginative, dreamy, intuitive, like using those things to really, if we're feeling out of place or feeling inexperienced in something, or, just not really sure exactly where we are with something, or again, there may be someone specific coming up around you that this energy is coming up. Young people in our lives, or the energy again of inexperience, or, in some cases not as mature and developed in the way of being able to channel those sensitivities, and, again, feeling like a fish out of water, but there being this opportunity to, again, there's something here about the boundaries and the notion of being nice, kindness, compassion, but also, setting those good boundaries and not over romanticizing. That's another thing, is like the pages, the Knights of Cups can be like in love with the idea of love. And there's this idealism or over, inflating something, putting it up on a pedestal, if we will, in a way that may need to come down a couple of notches. So this can be a blessing when we bring things into greater balance in that way. So again, it's bringing in this watery center to our week when these other elements are the fire, the air, the earth. We have all of that surrounding this beacon in the midweek that does bring in a little bit of that love, compassion, heart-focused feels type energy. And again, there's like a curiosity to that energy of the pages and the Knights, which, like I said, we have 3 of them this week in terms of 2 pages and a Knight. And just this energy of sort of back to basics and channeling those things that are inspiring and that spark curiosity and wonder in us, while also a healthy dose of, kind of, again, getting grounded and not, totally like losing it out of our depths when it comes to getting swept away with emotion. So an opportunity to sort of ground there is what I'm feeling. Treading a little lightly. Okay, let's take a look now at this Mega Thursday, because we got 2 tarot cards and the Queen of the Moon coming in here for the full moon in Aries. So let's take a look. All right, full moon in Aries, Thursday. How are we growing? Well, we grew by 1 whole tarot card because we got a twofer. We've got 2, which is a rarity. But if you saw the card pull, you know that this guy leapt out. I've tried to put him back and he came back again with a friend. So feels very synchronistic here in the way that came forward. So Page of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. So we're going to tune into this Page of Swords. That's the one that popped up twice. And kind of on the back of that Page of Cups we were just talking about, this Page of Swords is kind of headstrong in the way that the character here is saying, no, I don't need your help. I can totally swing this sword. And it says, yeah, somebody bit more off than they can chew. They probably read a book and thought they could manage. Don't worry, they will put the sword down soon enough and run around sharing funny stories. Now, when this card comes up, it represents someone who has a way with words and logic problems. But like all pages, they can be a young person or someone inexperienced. Because they're really smart, they usually understand the theory of things, but don't often have practical experience. They love talking and words and correcting grammar and pronunciation, which makes them kind of snobby and an annoying know-it-all. Sometimes they do seem to know it all because they are gifted gossips. Besides talking and knowing things, they can be excellent problem solvers. If you can avoid being annoyed with or laughing at them, this can be very helpful team player. Now, like I said, these are just sort of like a culmination of all different aspects that can show up in a Page of Swords. Swords, air element. Swords representing the crown chakra, our head, our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas, our intellect, logic, reason. So that's why, we're tapping into this energy of someone who carries that energy or is demonstrating that energy, is typically quite intelligent or able to quickly, and again, quick air. The swords are fast, like the wands. There's this energy of, and we're still in Libra season, so we're talking about that as an air sign. And there's this energy of our thoughts, beliefs, and ideas that are in flux and changing. And, on a full moon, we're at this point where we're really looking at what we are cutting through and leaving behind with a degree of clarity and directness and truth telling, and what we wish to plant new in the future, which is where this Ace of Pentacles is going to come in. But, that was a lot of different aspects describing a Page of Swords. So again, people in your orbit may be coming to mind, or aspects of yourself, or different ways in which it could show up in situations. We're talking about how we're growing. So encountering people who may have a way with words, logic problems, but, there could be a sense of all talk and no action, or, someone who is a little bit of a know-it-all, the different ways that these energies can show up. There is also the potential of gossip. Remember, that sword can be double-edged and can be harsh and cutting with that tongue, because the sword also represents communication, air, like expressing ourselves, the throat chakra and the mind, so there's a lot going on there that also weaves in now the seed of the Ace of Pentacles. So where this is a young, youthful, beginner energy, so is the Ace, because it's also bringing in something new, something that's just coming in onto the scene. So when we talk about, what's kind of culminating with this fiery full moon in Aries, and then, what seeds we're planting on the other side of it, the Ace of Pentacles is an amazing card to come in here. So, Ace of Pentacles, this one's talking about jack-o'-lanterns being magic in the same way that Christmas trees are. There's something about them that captures our fancy and delights our eyes. They are temporary celebrations of light in the darkness. They make us happy and warm our hearts. They give us hope because they seem to somehow hold promise. When this card comes up, it should make you happy and filled with hope, because it is one of the luckiest cards in the deck. Just like a pumpkin filled with seeds, this card is filled with potential. Something is coming your way that may look small and insignificant, but don't be fooled. It will yield more than you can imagine. Right now, it's just a seed, not a magic bean, and you're not Jack. So you'll need to plant it and help it grow. A little hard work never hurt anyone. Roll up your sleeves and make the most of this investment in your future. So it represents abundance, resources, money, wealth, health, comfort, luck, and achieving goals. It's earth energy. It's tangible. It's physical. Yes, it can represent money or wealth of all kinds, seed money or something of a new offering that's coming in. That's the thing. When you see an ace come in with a hand that's bringing something in, the other part of that is you have to take action. You don't just bury the seed and walk away, right? You have to tend to it. You have to care for it. And so you have to be open to receive it. So again, very consciously stepping into this full moon in Aries about what's coming with and what's staying behind. It's all culminating. I mean, it's almost like this card should be here too, because pumpkins, because seemingly little things that are culminating into something bigger. It's right here. It's literally telling that story in the cards that we collectively brought forward here with our energy this week. So, this is going to parlay into our Queen of the Moon Oracle card with this amazing angel number 44, super moon attraction. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but getting into what we expect, what we are attracting in, what we are aligning ourselves with energetically. So there is this cutting through the BS. That's kind of what I'm feeling too with this Page of Swords, is there's a precision and a clarity and a directness that's cutting through the BS, cutting through these vines that have become entangled around really what the true seed of potential is that we now can see. It's now illuminated. It's now lit up, and it's in our hands to do with it what we will. And this just brings us all the way back to fetch, because it's up to you what you see in the mirror. because you're either going to see something to fear or you're going to see something to foster. You know, this energy that was coming in with the duality of what is being reflected versus reality. What's really there beneath, something that can be hard to see through. And again, I can't help but, dip into the collective and the big stage when we talk about these characters and these players, which again, it's funny because we have all this, immature and unbalanced and, energy of like the way a child would handle something. And yet a lot of the examples that we see out there on the stage may be acting just that way, with age being no factor whatsoever in that regard, because, it's these players, these larger than life characters that are playing on a stage, reflecting back to us exactly what's coming up in the collective to be seen. You can't look away anymore, right? It must be seen. These doors are going to open and we're going to be riding in there through the haunted channel, right? This tunnel that we're going into, and we can't yet see the light at the other end. But we're not alone, and we can bring in support, and we can be very mindful about the ways in which, what tools are we bringing in, what aspects are we going to focus on and prioritize if we talk about truth and compassion. We talk about nurturing the potential. All of these things can bring in some super big messages. And like I said, this is all going to parlay into the full moon empowerment reading I'll be doing as we feel into this big full moon that we have here on this day, Thursday, that we're speaking to. But of course, these energies are already coming in that we're tapping into. So again, so many ways, big and small, that this could be coming in specifically for you. Let's pull up now our Queen of the Moon Oracle card for this day that, once again, I'll dive into more deeply in the full moon empowerment reading, but we're going to touch on here as well. Okay, now we're taking a look here at the Queen of the Moon Oracle card that came forward. It's so perfect because, in fact, this Aries full moon is a super moon, and we got that exact card from the deck. Card 44 of the 44 cards in the deck, super moon attraction. And, we talk about super moons and what is it about them? The idea that they are big, they are very close to the earth, so they appear so large, and they tend to be, on a clear night, of course, very bright and illuminating. And so they really amplify that energy, whatever it's coming in, whatever energy that full moon is bringing in. And in this case, it is in the fiery sign of Aries, which does bring in some bold planetary energy around it. So there's all these other aspects as well that are happening that are really ramping up the energy with this full moon. So like I said, we're going to really dive into it in the full moon empowerment reading that you are all invited to join me on this week. You can check out the link that I'll be sharing. Reach out to me if you have any questions, but let's just touch on the super moon just a little bit here. Like I said, very powerful 44 energy. So I'm loving that angel number 44, attraction. I can attract what I wish and repel what I do not. Interesting. I use those words, and that's exactly what I was feeling, is like, am I attracting it in or am I repelling it? Like a magnet, the sense of, expectation and magnetization and what we are calling in. So this is definitely a very perfectly aligned card that's coming in here. So like I said, I'm going to dip in more deeply. I think we've covered a lot of, little seeds and little bits that are building up for this full moon. And we are going to completely amplify that and get into it when we do our full moon empowerment reading. So please come along. If you are intrigued, we will definitely be breaking out to personal card pulls just for you to focus on how you can connect more deeply. Okay, now I just had to abruptly end our super moon card because Cooper was hanging out in the room with me, my Weimaraner, and he became aware that someone was approaching the door. So he had a fiery reaction that you may have heard at the end there. Whew. Okay, final card for the week, Friday. 8 of Cups. So let's take a look. More pumpkins everywhere. It's really awesome because, like I said during the card pull, really seeing the story weaving here, because 6 of Swords and 8 of Cups are about moving on, what we are leaving behind and what lies ahead. We've got all this pumpkin energy coming in here with the seed of potential of that Ace of Pentacles with this full moon. And now we see Where to from here? 8 of Cups. The message from Trick or Treat Tarot says, some people seek the perfect Christmas tree. The second time Christmas trees have been mentioned, by the way. The most impressive Independence Day fireworks or an extravagant birthday cake. Others are driven to discover the best pumpkin in the patch, and nothing else will do. While we may not have much confidence in our superhero's villain fighting abilities, here he has proven his pumpkin seeking skills. When this card comes up, a potential quest is in your future. Here's the situation. Things are pretty good. In fact, some might say you're lucky or have a great life. You might even agree with them, which makes this itchy feeling in your gut so confusing. The truth is that even though things are very comfortable, they just aren't satisfying you anymore. You probably can't explain the feeling to others because you don't completely understand it yourself. All you know is that you must go in search of something that is missing, and you won't feel at ease until you do. This isn't a guarantee you will find it, but you have to try. So this is an interesting take because sometimes we're talking about, yes, with the 8 of Cups, we might be, seemingly satisfied, or it seems like we ought to be, because those cups aren't all that bad. These pumpkins are cute. Nothing wrong with these pumpkins, but he's seeking out something else, something bigger out there that they feel drawn to, that there's a sense of, sort of having to strike out and expand beyond. And so there could be, routines, patterns, ways of being, relationships, circumstances that are just fine, and on the surface, even something that you're really lucky to have. And of course, always, something that is, a blessing to you, is something that's like, or something that you may be feeling, is something that you're bored or unsatisfied with, would be somebody else's great blessing that they could only wish to have. It's all about perspective. It's all about which lens we're looking through, as we've been talking throughout this. It's all about what's reflecting back to us. And yet, when we really tune into, how we are feeling and what we are receiving from our own internal source of insight, wisdom, and guidance, we may be feeling that itch to expand beyond, what is familiar, what has become the norm for us, or the day to day. So there is this sort of potential for a quest, a journey, a search, that's born from some sense of discontent, dissatisfaction, or something that's just not quite filling that cup as it did. And so again, this is those inklings that we get when it's time for a change, when it's time to shift something. And the more in tune we are with those subtle inklings, a lot of times all the fuss and the muss that comes from those types of things is when we stay too long in a situation, a circumstance, or a way of being that we know we've been getting the itch, we've been getting the inkling that we want to seek something more. I can't help it with his underpants. I'm feeling like they're getting pretty tight, those tighty whities. Like it's time. Treat yourself to some new draws there, bud. Like that can't possibly be comfortable. I feel like something's just getting really tight and noticeable that it's just not fitting anymore. That's what I'm feeling. It's just not fitting anymore. So we have this opportunity to expand beyond. Now, again, many different ways this can show up. And like I said, I do feel like this is something that's going to be continuing on the other side of that full moon, and as we continue through the rest of this month for sure. But, as I was saying, at the top of this month, and even too, stars and cards, we recorded at the top of this month, Mila and I recorded sort of the October energies. And so whether you got to catch that at the beginning of the month or not, you can see it here in the polos. If you swipe back, I'll also share the link here if you'd like to check that out. I want to check it out because I want to revisit. What did we bring through about this? What did we touch on about this full moon in Aries? But what I'm feeling is really one of the things I know that we touched on was this October really really setting the things into motion for the remainder of this year and what is coming in for 2025. Like really starting to dip us into the energies that are next on the other side of this, that we're expanding beyond 2024. So, just getting a little ping there as well to sort of all these different aspects that were dripping in at the very top of the month. We're now coming into the fullness of illumination with this full moon that might make even more sense, knowing what we know now, seeing what we can see now, that we may now be very aware of something that's been getting tight, no longer fitting or feeling a match, something that we have an opportunity to shed and step into something new. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, a lot of interesting things coming in for this week. So I look forward to hearing from you in terms of how this may be showing up for you throughout the week. Again, if you would like a personal card pull for this week, I will be pulling you 2 cards. So please feel free to reach out to me in whatever way works for you if you'd like those card pulls. And also if you'd like to come along for the full moon empowerment reading, I would love for you to join me for that as well. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Wishing you a wonderful week and many full moon blessings. We got this. Much love.